Are either mics on? Now they are. It says starting. Is it working? The end button is on and it's blinking red. This might be working. Let's go see if we can see if this is working at all.
Well, I'm going to go to...
If anyone there is seeing this, then things are working, which is cool. But we got to go on TikTok and see if this is actually working. Let's go see. Where do I go for my followers? Where is our Satudu? Satudu NFT. It says we're live. Joe, this is working.
Oh,
hello, friends. This is working. It's working.
Look at that. Look at that.
But see what I was saying? We've got a backwards text here.
Yep.
Wow. And looks like it's going to be a little fun getting this to look correct, because right now I got a ton of text all over my face on the actual app. So, folks, what we are doing this morning, I am Joe. I'm here with...
You're Joe. You're Joe. Then who am I?
We Freaky Friday. It is Friday, so we did do a Freaky Friday. I'm Joe. That's Darren.
That's
or
right. Yeah.
vice versa, if it's anything but Freaky Friday. And we're now testing out, doing some lives on TikTok using, and as you can see, we're not using phones here or, just phone audio. We've got our cameras plugged in. We've got some good microphones plugged in. And this is something that is TikTok has made a particular pain to do for whatever reason. So we know they're testing out, I guess, a desktop app to do this, but we're using some other funky ways of getting this to work. So that's pretty cool that it's actually working. But we're going to go ahead and fix our text and fix the text.
Did it fix it?
I don't know. Did it fix it? There's the fixed text. Although
It
looks like we're a little cropped here. So this is cool, guys. You're seeing stuff happen in real time as we're figuring it out. Let's get our logo in there. How about we move it in? How are we looking and sounding, Chloe? Chloe's outside. Chloe's our intern. She's helping us figure this stuff out. So she's letting us know if it looks and sounds good. Thankfully, we can all have our... The logo's backwards. Thank you, Chloe. See?
Backwards.
Every little detail counts. So, Joe, while I'm finishing this up, how are we doing this morning?
I'm still waking up, man.
Still waking up. So something of a lighter topic. Okay, politics.
Oh yeah, let's not talk about politics.
Actually,
I know what you want to talk about. You want to talk about the difference between making art for yourself or for an audience.
Yeah,
I know you want to expand on it. We touched lightly on it during our premiere podcast. So, sure. What do you want to say about it?
Well, because that was probably the most heated part of our conversation, and we didn't really dive right into that. And I think it is a very interesting subject because, first of all, we generalize too much. We were trying to generalize like the whole industry, all artists all together. Obviously, you can't do that. If you're a painter, I'm a filmmaker, two very different art forms.
Yeah.
One of them is more personal. One of them is more collaborative.
Right.
So that as I was doing my commute this morning, I was thinking like, yeah, we can go into this a lot more. And I'd probably take more of the stance of, I'm always thinking commercially about a subject. Like, okay.
Yeah, I think that's where you need to start is what direction are you coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Because, we're not all mind readers, and I understand you tend to be very structured in your workflows. So kind of walk us through the process of you coming up with it. Let's say you were going to make a film. How would you go about it?
So very interesting subject of script writing. I have a good friend who is a very experienced screenwriter. Actually, I have a couple friends who are really good screenwriters. But anyways, one of them, he was teaching. And he would always teach students the structure of a screenplay. Okay. Because sure, you can have a great idea and you want to put it down and hopefully see it on screen fulfilled. And when he was teaching, he would always tell me these. He loves talking to me about his process. And it was interesting for me to learn the structure of a screenplay that'll work in most cases, if it's a good story, of course, is certain key plot pinch points. So, and I don't remember exactly, let's say it's every 10 minutes, something of whatever scale needs to happen, something significant.
Right.
And then, there's usually there's 3 acts to a play, 3 acts to a movie. Those are kind of the big turning points. But then in between all those, you have to have, I think you call them pinch points in the
Right.
stories that keeps the audience engaged. It gives them something to keep going with.
Okay.
And the one example I remember I gave in our previous discussion, which it was more general, was if you're a filmmaker and you make a film and you want to show it to me, so you sit with me down and we start watching it, and you could see that I'm like, you're losing me. I'm not attached to this at all. And you just say, oh, just wait for this to happen. Just wait. The ending's great. Wait for this to happen.
Right.
You can't do that. If you have to, you're not going to sit with every person in the audience to tell them, oh no, you just got to wait for this to happen. The movie has to stand on its own. So
Right.
that's where I was getting to the point of, if you don't think about what your audience might like, and granted, there's definitely
And
exceptions.
I feel like you're talking about a particular movie that probably annoyed you, and why didn't they, why they went that direction or something?
No, not at all.
I think when you talk about art and you talk about whether you're making it for yourself or the audience, like, I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, it's where do you start for not like, do you need a template to guide you while you're working through your idea,
I would say,
or do you get inspiration and you just start writing? Like,
so I definitely think it starts with inspiration. I mean, I don't sit down and think, okay, how could I go and make a commercially viable product?
Right.
No, it starts off, I think, for most people, at least me, and I think you as well, it starts off purely creative. I got this idea. I think it's a great idea. The passion, it definitely has to start with the passion. It's something that's you. It's your thought process. But for me, once I got that idea, I'm thinking, okay, what are my first steps? And if I have to suss out the story a little bit, as I'm sussing out the story, for sure, I think, what's going to be cool? What do I think is going to be cool? But then as I get farther along in the process and it's being developed, I'm asking other people. I'm like, I think this will be cool. What do you think? I'm a heat sink for input and criticism. Like, I can't do my process without asking others, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I think eventually when you're working through, it depends on what it is, right? I mean, if it's film, it's definitely collaborative. There's no way around that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna work with, if you're the producer on it, somebody's gonna direct it. If you direct and produce it, unless you're gonna direct, produce, gaff, light,
Some people
to
can do
all
that.
art direction, you had a small budget. It's only you. You're the main actor and only actor in the script. Then I mean, then you can go that direction.
Some people have to start that way.
Right. Some people have to start that way, and that's fine. But eventually, you're gonna have to collaborate with people. They're gonna have their thoughts, and you have to trust their expertise in that one particular area, especially if they're. And it doesn't mean that sometimes you can keep your good collaborators listen to the crew. They listen to it. It doesn't mean they have to take it, but they at least keep their ears open to it. Quentin Tarantino, I heard on set, he does a lot of that, where he lets things be a little more organic. So he ends up having a lot more true and natural performances out of his actors.
You talk about a mix of script versus improv.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, but some people are pretty, like, I mean, it all depends on how collaborative you allow yourself to be. I'm a true believer that with the more collaborative and open-minded you are, the better product you're going to have, because then it's not just, yeah, sure, it's erected from you manifested this idea somehow that inspired you, but it's also an idea that's going to lead to additional layers from that idea that could spark. Like, I could bring up an idea to you if you're working with me on a project and say, hey, Darren, I want to make this robot mech anime, and then do you want to do this project with me? And then you'll give me your input. I'll say, I want you to be the director on this one. This is the premise that I wanted, and I'll give you my inspiration, and then you'll give your thoughts back, and
you can take it for whatever it's worth.
And
you're the artist, and you get to make the decisions, which is great. And I think, that was the key thing that you were talking about that we didn't get into in our previous discussion, was something that is collaborative versus personal.
Right.
If you're going to paint a painting, it's all you.
Right.
I mean, you could, of course, talk to people about it, but
you could also be doing it for the client. because you could be,
Absolutely.
you could definitely be making a painting
Commission.
because Darren, you wanted me to make an epic duck, portrait, so you can look that looks like the Sistine Chapel, so you could put it inside your house. Well, but yeah, so
that's a perfect point. Something that, because that's a dynamic I wasn't thinking about, because I'm more thinking about the film end of things, because that's my background. Is, if I'm going to make a film, typically it's something I'm trying to sell, not necessarily I'm trying to sell it and be done with it. I'm trying to sell it to an audience so that it becomes successful.
Right.
Whether it makes money or not, that's another story. But success being people see and say, we enjoyed watching this.
Right.
But with a painting, like you just point out, it could be a painting that is a commission. So then, well, you have to know what your client wants. You don't want to, if the client trusts you enough to say you have carte blanche to just completely take this in whatever direction you want, that's one way of doing it. But then a lot of clients, they have their own thoughts. They're hiring you to do something. You want to understand what they want.
Right.
So that's a great distinction between something that could be for you. I'm just an artist. I want to go paint my duck, and I don't care what anyone else thinks about it. If they like it, great. If not, that's fine too.
Right.
You can have totally different mentalities about it. But that's what I'm really glad we decided to suss this out, because on the surface, we were just like, generalize this, generalize that. But the collaboration aspect of it, and then whether or not it's for a specific client.
Right.
Those are the distinctions.
Difference between you doing it for somebody else and then you doing it for yourself as a passion project. You could get hired to direct one episode of, like, I don't know, give me
Blacklist.
show.
That's
Blacklist.
Show we're watching now.
Yeah. So, so you're gonna have to stick within the parameters of the vision of the history that's already embedded in that story and those characters.
Which is interesting. So, like, taking that example a little further, the most recent Star Wars movies.
Right.
You had 2 directors, 3 movies.
Right.
Interesting. Which actually, I think the original Star Wars, wasn't it Irving Lucas? So Lucas did A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, but he did, I think it's Irving Kershner, I think is his name.
Yeah, he did
Empire. So that's interesting when you have a mix. And for at least the newest movies, I think a lot of people were like, well, it seemed like the middle one just completely took a different direction, killed off people that you expected to have more importance, and then they brought back the original director of the trilogy, J.J. Abrams.
Right.
And it looked like, he came up with a story. It made sense, but it's like, it seemed like he had to scramble to come back to whatever he thought it was going to be, versus if it was him doing the middle movie, it probably wouldn't have ended the same way as what I would think.
I have my feelings about Star Wars in general with Disney attached to it.
Jedi Mouse.
I feel like they took I see what they tried to do, but I don't think it was necessary. I think they could have just went and told a different story. They didn't have to revisit that. They just kind of rehashed the same story with new characters. I think just to kind of make it a little more inclusive. And I don't know. I'm a little more excited now that the Star Wars Disney Plus, their series with the Mandalorian,
that was great.
Boba Fett, they're doing great. I don't know why they should have just hired him from the start.
Well, there's Jon Favreau.
Yeah, Jon Favreau. He should have already been hired from the start to take over. It was I forgot the lady's name that was overseeing the whole Star Wars the new series.
Oh, yeah.
I
know you're talking about, but I don't remember the name.
Yeah.
But if folks that don't know, Jon Favreau directed. I don't know if he directed all of the Mandalorian season 1 or if it was also season 2.
I think majority he did.
But he was also the one that did the first Iron Man.
But he also brought in a couple of other directors. I know Robert Rodriguez was brought in toward the tail end of it, once Boba Fett's character was a little more prominent. And because I guess his plan was for Robert Rodriguez to take that series, the spinoff.
Gotcha. So, that makes sense. And I find it very interesting that Jon Favreau, if that's how you pronounce his name, he did the first Iron Man. And so if there's one person I think you can attribute the entire Marvel universe to, it's him. And you might say, well, no, Robert Downey Jr.'s performance is great. He had to fight to get Robert Downey Jr. in that role. He wanted him in that role,
Right.
and he had to fight for it. So yeah, Jon Favreau, thank you.
Yeah.
Responsible for a lot of great stuff, including Swingers, an old film. If you've never seen it, he has to perform one of the most painful scenes I think has ever been on camera. Swingers.
I don't think I remember too much about Swingers except for just when the term, "Hey man, your money," it's like
Your money, baby. Your money.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I took out of that whole thing.
And then to touch on the other subject we were getting into, remember about whether or not you can be successful with or without experience or putting in more effort.
Right.
And I think the point that Qua, who he's not here today, he's off working in Cleveland. He was trying to make the point that it doesn't matter if where you come from, what your background, if you create a great piece of art,
Right.
it should be celebrated. Absolutely.
Right.
My point was going to be chances of that happening are much more rare. You can have a savant and it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say most cases of success in a lot of these fields are when somebody has put in a lot of effort, whether that effort is without experience, but they're putting a lot of time into their piece, or maybe they put a lot of effort into their training or refining their craft and then creating something maybe very quickly.
Right. I know, but we were talking, I think it was the word lazy was brought up.
That kind
of triggered everything. So you have a tendency to drop these little keywords that are kind of like very,
which I promise is unintentional, but I think I was mostly focusing on the lazy with people that try to jump on a bandwagon, like the Bored Apes bandwagon. We see Bored Apes is now one of the most popular, one of the most valuable NFT collections in the marketplace.
right.
And you see people are just trying to copy it. They're trying to do, they think they can just throw up whatever.
Look, I mean, copying is the highest form of flattery, right? So I don't have a problem with people trying to emulate something. Straight up copying, I guess, yeah, okay, put a little more effort, but at least they're trying to put more effort into the collection versus just slapping it up there.
That's my
and
point.
just doing, you know, nothing with it. No. Like, because to copy them, that would mean they actually looked at the website, tried to make their own website, make their own map, create all these utilities that they did. That would be copying, and that's a lot of work.
It is, but again, that's
but
work.
If you mean copying by just that's not copying them. That's just the craze of NFTs itself.
Correct. Yeah.
So, yeah, let me just generate 50,000.
That's more what I meant.
You know, scribble scrabbles, and then hope somebody buys my.
So I guess
my, you know, what was the color palette? Blue Penton. You know, it's just.
I guess my thought is more about the mix of somebody is trying to jump into it because they see there's money in it. That's their main motivation versus being about the art, and then them not really care. They're just creating it just to create it for that reason.
Here's my thing. I don't like spending time thinking about how people can misuse things because my time's wasted that way. Because people are always going to try to take advantage of whatever new system it is. Our old system, the old system is still getting abused. Look, we got scammers. We got people like sending, you know, freaking like flooding, trying to break into hack our accounts. I know mine was just hacked.
Want me money?
You know, come on,
poor
man.
Instagram account, man.
Like,
that sucks.
Lost all that, and I got to start from scratch. You know, like fuck them. I got no time for that shit. So, you know, I'm focused. I would be more focused on just creating things and making and not even worrying about. That's why, like, the one thing I do like about Qua is like he never worries about competition. There's no competition. Even there was like, oh, they're kind of like in a market and a competition. It's like there is no competition, Joe. You don't think that way. So because the more attention you draw to yourself to something that, you know, is negative, well, this is my belief. The more time you waste in acknowledging it.
I fully agree. Yeah.
You know,
that's on the art side.
We're spending time like highlighting and praising the successful art that is in the world, you know, versus
also the up and comers. The way you framed that was a little, it sounded like only who's already made it, but no, we want to focus also on
untalented people that are up and coming.
Find the diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
And that's a great point that I wanted to focus on, which is, you know, and what you just talked about totally on agreeing aboard. For our platform that we're building, though, we need to figure out the balance of, how do we how do we really celebrate and push up the people that have the great passion and are creating something good versus somebody that we see is just trying to game the system.
Right. Well, the thing is building the community, right? A trusted community, a community that's actually looking to grow together. And then they can be the ones that, make those judgment calls. Because when you make a great community, they're the ones that become protective in itself. It's just same thing as you build a team, like a baseball team or, basketball team, football team. You guys get a camaraderie thing going, and it becomes instinctual that you want bad shit out.
Yep.
You keep the bad shit out.
It helps to self-govern. Yeah.
Right.
Which is why I think I mentioned before, I like Reddit because of that. It's just everyone gets an upvote or a downvote. Good stuff gets pushed up, bad stuff gets pushed down or just ignored.
Right.
But of course, we're not going to be Reddit. We're going to be quite a bit more, hopefully.
No, I mean, if you want to touch on it again for anybody that's listening to this, just give them a quick overview of what you feel Satudu will do for them.
I think it'll answer a lot of questions. So I always came back to whenever we were building the concept for Satudu is there's plenty of filmmakers, because that's my background, that will make a film and go to, say, a film festival or a number of film festivals, and maybe it gets an award or two here and there, and people like it. But then what now? A lot of times it just they don't just get offers. Some people do,
right?
But a lot of times it's just, I did all that. What do I do now?
Right.
Any place along the way of creating the product or trying to sell the product, doesn't matter. A lot of people run into those walls of, okay, well, what do I do at this step? I want us to answer those questions of, you're at this stage. Here's the pathways. And here's tools we want to provide to you, or here's a community to help you in these particular stages. Exactly. So you got a finished film. It got some awards. Awesome.
Right.
Here's some possible ways we can get it to get mass adoption. So for me, it's answering the questions. And basically it's education. But education along with tools, talented people to help you, consultation, community. I guess a community.
Well, I mean, you basically put it in a nutshell. Let's just wrap this up because we have to get on a call and further discuss something else.
Yeah. It's 1 minute past our. We're going to another meeting. So this was a pretty successful test, guys. This looks great. I'm excited that we have this new platform to try in terms of having more flexibility on TikTok. So we'll see.